NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day Sports Show. I got a very special guest, my dad. Say what's up to the people in the YouTube universe.
Hello, everyone. I hope you had a good game last night.
Yeah, the great game last night between the Packers and the Detroit Lions. A lot of fun. Dan Campbell did some crazy stuff, like going for it on 4th and 1 from his own 30-yard line. He's very lucky they didn't lose that game.
Absolutely. He is really pushing the envelope when he keeps doing that. And you'll see in the playoffs he pushes that. He's going to be in for it.
It's going to bite him right in the ass. All right, guys, in today's episode, we're going to give our bets versus the spread for Week 14. And the loser has got to buy the other one a steak dinner. All right, guys, so what we're going to do here today, we're going to go through the rest of the slate for Week 14 for you guys and give our thoughts on the point spread, who we think is going to win. And I feel like I'm going to be getting a steak dinner very soon.
You might be a little hungry waiting for that dinner.
All right, guys, stay tuned. All right, NFL fans, let's get into these spread picks for Week 14. We're going to kick off the Sunday slate with the Carolina Panthers at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have won, 8 games in a row. They haven't lost since the bye. They look really good. Saquon Barkley looks incredible. Versus the Carolina Panthers, who played Tampa Bay very tough last week. That game went into overtime. And the Panthers' offensive line looks pretty good. Bryce Young has looked better since the benching. The spread minus 13.5 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Who you taking in this game? You going with the Panthers and plus 13.5, or you think the Eagles can cover the pretty much 2-touchdown spread at home versus the Panthers?
I'm going to take the Panthers with the points.
Okay, I'm going to go the opposite of that. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to cover the 13.5 points. I just don't know if the Carolina Panthers defense is going to be able to stop any level of this Eagles offense, right? And the Philadelphia Eagles defense, Vic Fangio, one of your favorite coaches in the NFL, has done a really good job. What are your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles defense since the bye?
Well, the defense is pretty good, but I think losing Graham was a big loss for them.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll have to see who can step up on this defense now that Brandon Graham is not going to be there, because the Panthers' offensive line's pretty good. So I'm going with the Eagles and the minus 13.5. And Tommy is taking the Carolina Panthers and plus 13.5. One game, we're already disagreeing. I'm getting that steak dinner with mashed potatoes.
I don't think so.
All right, next up, we got the Raiders and the Buccaneers. Aiden O'Connell is going to be the quarterback for the Raiders. Tampa Bay barely got past the Panthers last week. That defense looks very shreddable. But the Raiders offense, not so good. The line's at 6.5. You taking the Buccaneers at minus 6.5? Or are you going to take the Raiders and Aiden O'Connell, Brock Bowers, the really good tight end, at plus 6.5?
I'm taking the Buccaneers.
And minus 6.5. Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this game. They barely got by the Carolina Panthers last week, so that's why I'm going to go with the Raiders and Brock Bowers and Aiden O'Connell, who looked pretty good. They almost beat the Chiefs, so I'm going to go with the Raiders and plus 6.5. Tom Burt's going with the Buccaneers at home, minus 6.5. You are right in the fact that Tampa Bay, it's a must-win game, right? They can't lose this game.
Absolutely have to win the game.
If they lose, their playoff hopes are, dwindling a little bit. Their division, the NFC South, not very good, right? The Falcons are kind of reeling right now. Saints aren't very good. So the Buccaneers, they got to beat the bad teams if they want to make the playoffs, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why I think he's going with the Buccaneers. I'm going with the Raiders. I think the Buccaneers win, but I think it's by like 3 or 4 points. That's why I'm going to go with the Raiders and the 6.5. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They played a few weeks ago, and Jameis Winston balled out, and they beat Pittsburgh. Jameis Winston did throw the 2 interceptions last week, even though he threw for almost 500 yards. Russell Wilson was great last week. They hung up over 40 on the Bengals and that trash defense. The line's at 6.5. You going with the Steelers or the Browns and plus 6.5?
I got to go with Cleveland with the 6.5.
I think I'm going to go there too, right? Jameis Winston, I think he's going to be able to score some points. And the Pittsburgh Steelers defense hasn't been great. Since they played the Giants, probably was like 5 weeks ago, you saw the little cracks in that Steelers defense, right? And the Browns defense has actually been playing a lot better. Denzel Ward had that big game last week. So the Amaral boys, I think we're both taking Cleveland in the plus 6.5, right? I think the Steelers should probably win this game, but 6.5 is a big line to cover for a division game, right?
It is, but that's a big rival game. There's always been a rival game, and I think it's going to be close, but the weather's very frigid there right now.
It's going to be cold and windy. I think the under might be in play too, right? 43.5 is the over-under. Could be I wish the line was at like 45, 46, then I would have definitely went with the under, but 43 is getting a little low. All right, so we're both taking the Cleveland Browns and the 6.5 points, guys. Next up, we got another division game, Jets at the Dolphins. The line's at 5.5. What do you think about this one?
Miami wins this game.
I agree with you. I'm gonna go with Tom Burt to agree. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins and the minus 5.5. Listen, the Jets players are gonna start making business decisions, right? They have no chance to make the playoffs. So you're not going to throw your body on the line 110% like you're making the playoffs, right? And the Dolphins are still alive. The Dolphins have something to play for. The Jets don't.
Miami's got to win if they want to make the playoffs.
And the Jets have nothing to play for. They're going to have a new coach. You think Aaron Rodgers comes back next year, or do you think he calls it quits?
No, I think he goes somewhere else. He already said that he wanted to play somewhere else. He's not in too good terms with the
Jets. I mean, he got the GM fired. He got the head coach fired. I don't see any coach that has half a brain cell that's like, I want to go coach the Jets, and I want Aaron Rodgers to be my quarterback. I think you would have to be crazy to do that.
They're just going to let him go.
I think so, too. So we're both taking the Miami Dolphins and the 5.5 in this spot. This is an interesting game. Falcons, Vikings. The Falcons are just holding on to that lead in the division. They need a win, too, but they've been reeling. The Minnesota Vikings, one of the best teams in the NFC, at home, minus 6 points. Sam Darnold, their quarterback, does turn the ball over a lot, but the Falcons' defense is terrible. They don't get any pass rush at all. And the Vikings have way too good receivers to get no pass rush. What are your thoughts? You're going to take the Vikings in 6, or you're going to take the Falcons and get in 6?
Well, the Vikings didn't play too good last week, but they
came out with a win, yeah.
Yeah, they snuck by. But I think the Minnesota wins big.
Yeah, the Falcons just haven't been the same team the last, pretty much the second half of the year, right? They kind of got figured out a little bit. And the defense not being able to get a pass rush at all. They have under 15 sacks for the year. That's like less than 1 sack per game they're averaging. That's just not going to get it done. Minnesota and Sam Darnold, they have some tendencies to turn the ball over a little bit, right? But the Falcons don't have an opportunistic defense. They're not putting pressure on the quarterback. And with Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, I think it might be a long day for the Falcons. I think they could cover 10 points probably. I'm going with the Vikings, minus 6.
I'm going with the Vikings.
All right, guys. Both going with the Vikings here. Hitting a little streak, but we're on the same page. Next up, we got a dumpster fire game between the Saints and the Giants. The Giants have yet to win a game at home this year, guys. They're getting 5 points at home. Oh, man. So I don't know, man. The Saints have looked okay since they fired their head coach. The Giants, I don't know, offensively, like, they don't really have an identity, right? I like their young running back. Devin Singletary's kind of been on the back burner because Tyron Tracy's been pretty good, but they only throw the ball to Malik Neighbors, right? And then Dexter Lawrence, their best pass rusher, probably the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL. He's done probably for the year, right? So they're not going to be able to get a pass rush. They can't move the ball at all. Their secondary sucks. I think I'm going to go with the Saints and the minus 5 points, man.
I got to go with the Saints, but I just think that the Giants might get their first win at home.
So you're going to take the Giants and the 5 points? Or are you going to take the Saints and given 5 points?
I'm going to take the Giants and the 5 points.
All right, yeah, the Giants just seem like they've checked out, and because of that, and then your best player on your team, Dexter Lawrence, the captain of the whole team, is gone. I don't know how much the Giants got to play for. I think there's going to be some business decisions made. That's why I'm going with the the Saints and -5. Tom Bird's going to go with the Giants in the +5. The Saints could win by a field goal and you'll still cover. You know what I mean?
The Giants have nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's a great argument because teams that have nothing to lose, it goes one way or the other, right? They either ball out or they look like shit, right? So I'm gonna hope the Giants still look like shit. I'm gonna go with the Saints in the -5.
That steak's coming soon.
Tommy's taking the Giants in +5. All right, next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road taking on the Titans. The Titans look like a complete shit show last week versus the Commanders. Penalties and bad play, missed assignments. They looked like they never played football before. But Trevor Lawrence is done for the year. He's on IR. Looks like Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback for the Jaguars, and that dude stinks. I'm taking the Titans in the -3 here at home. You know, it's like they pretty much think it's an even game because you get 3 points pretty much if you're a home team. So Vegas thinks this is an even game, and I like Will Levis just a little bit more than Mac Jones. And I like the Titans defense, even though they looked like shit last week. But the last 3 or 4 weeks before that, the Titans defense looked pretty good. And Mac Jones is so bad. I'm going to take the Titans and the -3 at home.
And the Jaguars, they've been playing so. They've been in a lot of one-score
Their defense
games.
looks pretty good, too.
I'm going to go with the Jaguars.
And the +3. All right, we're diverging again, guys. Tom Bird's going with the Jags and +3. I'm going the Titans at home and -3. Both of these teams look really bad. It's going to be a turnover game, right? Whoever wins the turnover ratio probably wins this game, right?
Absolutely. Turnovers always hurt you. But the Jaguars, I don't think they're going to turn it over that much.
Yeah, with Mac Jones, they're probably just going to run the ball all the time. All right, guys. We got another big division game, Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks at home a few weeks ago came back at the end of the game to beat the Cardinals. Very close game. Seahawks are getting 2.5. Cardinals -2.5 at home. The Cardinals didn't look great. They haven't looked great the last few weeks. It looks like the Seahawks are kind of coming together. I'm taking the Seahawks, who I think have a better roster. I'm going to take them in the points. The offenses are pretty much a wash, right? You got Geno Smith and Kyler Murray. The Seahawks got Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. But on the flip side, Arizona has very good weapons. Marvin Harrison Jr., the young rookie. Trey McBride, the really good tight end. And they got James Conner, one of my favorite running backs in the NFL. So, where are you leaning towards this game?
I'm going with the Cardinals.
Tommy's going with the Cardinals in the -2.5. I like to see how both of these teams are extremely inconsistent. Anything can happen in this game. We got 2 decent offenses and 2 mediocre defenses. This is pretty much as even as it gets. Maybe the under's in play there. Cardinals at -142, Seahawks at +120. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks in the points. Tommy's taking the Cardinals, given 2.5. Let's move on to the Buffalo Bills at the Rams. The Bills played that tough game in the snow versus the 49ers last week. Got to fly across the country, change time zones to play the LA Rams, who have not looked good the last few weeks. They just look like their Cooper Kupp looks old. Stafford looks old. The secondary looks like trash. The offensive line looks not so good. I think it's an uphill battle for them to beat probably the best team in the AFC in the Buffalo Bills. It looks like Keon Coleman might be back in this game. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Amari Cooper, James Cook at the running back position. The defense is playing good. The Bills are playing pretty good complementary football. You can't say that for the Rams, so that's why I'm going to go with the Bills, given 3.5 points.
Got to take the Bills on this. I think the Bills hand it to them big time.
Yeah, I think this could be a 10, 12-point game. The Rams just haven't looked great. The Bills are playing really good football, and the Bills want to get that number 1 seed. And the Chiefs have a very good possibility of losing this game, a division game versus the Chargers, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So we're both taking the Buffalo Bills and the -3.5. Bears, 49ers, tons of injuries. Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey are pretty much done for the year. Brandon Ayuk's already on IR. He's done for the year. Where do they go offensively? They're on a 3rd-string running back. They got Deebo Samuel and Kittle, and that's really about it. A defense that's kind of struggling. Fred Warner's playing hurt. I'm taking the Bears on the plus 3.5.
I got to go with the Bears, too.
Until the 49ers show up and play a full 4 quarters, we've seen glimpses of the old 49ers, right? But we haven't seen a complete game from the 49ers in a long time. And the Bears' offense has looked a little bit better, right?
Yeah, I think the 49ers, they're pretty banged up.
Yeah, the Bears, since they fired Shane Waldron, they fired Matt Eberflus, so
The offense is gelling.
they look better, right? I don't know if I call it gelling. Maybe gelish. We'll go gelish. They look okay. Caleb Williams has glimpses where he looks really good, and then there's times where you're like, oh my God, this guy shouldn't have been the number 1 pick. But if the 49ers win, I think it's probably less than a field goal, right? So that's why I'm going with the Bears. You going with the Bears too?
Going with the Bears.
All right, guys. Both going with the Bears and the points. Chargers and the Chiefs. Chiefs are given 4. Chargers getting 4. Chargers have looked pretty good. That defense is pretty stout. The Chiefs don't beat anybody by 4 points. They're winning every game by a field goal or less. By the skin of their teeth, last second crazy shit happening. I'm taking the Chargers and the plus 4 points. I might actually take the Chargers by some points, like a 1.5. You know, get up to getting 5.5 at like minus 150. I think that's the bet to make. So I would buy the 1.5, guys. And then you get the Chargers at what?
5.5.
5.5. The odds around minus 150. That's my bet. But I still think the Chargers cover the 4.
The Chiefs been squeaking by a lot. And I think the Chargers win this hands down.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers win this game as well. That's why we're both going with the Chargers and the points. I think it's a no-brainer, actually. The Chiefs just don't look good. The tackles, both the left tackle and the right tackle, have been struggling mightily for the Chiefs. And the Chargers got a pretty dang good pass rush, so I think they're going to be in his lap all day long. We're both going with the Chargers. And then wrapping up Week 14, guys, we have the Bengals and the Cowboys. 2 very strange teams, right? Dak Prescott's done for the year. The Bengals can't play defense at all. It's just a turnstile, right? They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. When you let Russell Wilson and a pretty mediocre offense drop 40 on you, you know you stuck donkey balls, right? But the Cowboys defense, since Micah Parsons came back, has been playing a hell of a lot better, right? Can Cooper Rush and CeeDee Lamb get the offense moving against this terrible Bengals defense?
But the Bengals put some points up. So that's why I think the Bengals might pull this out, because they still can put the points up. And the Cowboys, they're nothing but a bunch of cowgirls.
So I think the Bengals are probably going to put up at least 25, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're just scoring points, but their defense can't stop nobody.
Yeah, their defense really, really sucks. The Cowboys have been awful at home this year, but I think the defense is playing a little bit better, and I'm going to go with the Cowboys in the plus 5.5. I'm taking the Cowboys in the points. You going to go with the Bengals in the 5.5?
Give it 5. That's a lot to give this game, but yeah, I'll take the Bengals in the giving them 5.
So it might come down to Monday night. Who's going to get that steak? It's going to be Tommy, or is it going to be the JL Day show? I think I got the steak, man. I want the mashed potatoes. I think I want
mashed potatoes with a steak. He don't deserve a steak. You get a baked potato.
Okay, so and then I'm thinking I want a lobster tail. I can go for some cream spinach and the macaroni and cheese. I'm going to make it a feast here at the JL Day Show, guys. All right, that's our spread picks for Week 14. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on some of these spreads, some of the bets that you're making? I would love to know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
There, my steak's coming. Get them choppers ready.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace.
Enjoy.